Hey, this is Global Kitchen with Chef Chris, coming from you from Glen Eagles Country Club in Delray Beach. I'm gonna take you on a tour across the world today. We're gonna start in the USA with my favorite crab cakes. Then we're gonna jump across the Atlantic to Greece and the Mediterranean for a Mediterranean sea bass, also known as Bronzini. That's gonna go with lemon dill couscous with a little feta, roasted asparagus, and a Greek relish. And then we're gonna end it jumping over to the UK and Canada with a wild berry crumb, or grunt as they call it in Canada, with a little crumb topping. Hope you enjoy. All right, so we're gonna start with crab cakes right now. Crab cakes are near and dear to me, being from Maryland and all. Grew up on them, perfected them over my days. So what we have right here in front of us, basic crab cakes needs, about 10 ingredients. You got your crab meat, we're using lump today, mayonnaise for the base, mustard, a little parsley, lemon, egg, and panko. And then for the dipping sauce for that, we're gonna make a homemade tartar sauce, which is mayo-based, capers, pickles, touch more lemon juice, and parsley. So we're gonna start with our mayo. We're gonna get the wet base ready and set for our crab cake. The mustard, you got about 1.5 cups of mayo here, a tablespoon of mustard. Put that in there. And we're going to get juice of half a lemon in there. Make sure that we watch for seeds or anything like that. Okay. And we're just gonna mix that together. Get that all incorporated. You're gonna come out with a nice yellow, pale yellow sheen on this. If it's too dark, you got a little too much mustard, and you just have to add a little bit more mayo to get the color right. All right. So from there, you're gonna go in with your dry, a little bit more wet than most of your dry. You gotta have your Maryland Secret here, perfect for everything Old Bay. Some Coleman's mustard. So, 2 dashes of Coleman's mustard. The Old Bay, you're gonna do the same. Just 2-3 dashes here. No more than teaspoon and a half. Otherwise it'll get too salty. Mix that in till it gets nice and incorporated. And then our last wet ingredients is some of your favorite red pepper sauce. Tabasco is mine for this. It adds a little bit of bite with a little bit of vinegar. Kind of goes with the lemon and all. And then gotta have Worcestershire sauce. Kind of rounds out all your flavors. So Worcestershire, for a batch of this, we're only using 1 pound of crab meat, so you're gonna do about 5 dashes of Worcestershire sauce. And then that will be the same for your Tabasco, just 5 quick little dashes. All right, mix that in, and you will smell the Tabasco, you'll smell the Worcestershire, you'll smell all the ingredients. You wanna be able to smell them, that way you know you got exactly what you need here. All right, we'll put that aside. We're gonna grab some gloves here, and we're gonna mix our crab meat in. You wanna make sure you're very, very gentle with your crab meat. You break it up, you will shred the crab meat. It'll give you like kind of a grainy mouthfeel when you eat them, so. Get it in there, and then you just kind of fold it all in. It will be wet. Break up the little bit of chunks you have. Nice and incorporated, being very gentle with it. And here's where you add your final 2 ingredients. You got your panko breadcrumb right here. All right, you're just gonna sprinkle it over the top. Maryland is known for not having any filler, all right? You gotta have a little bit just to kind of bring it together, okay? Sprinkle it over the top. Nice light little covering right there. Not too much. The breadcrumb will absorb that excess liquid here, okay? And then we're gonna just sprinkle a little bit of parsley for some color. Nice chopped, fine chopped parsley. And then again, mix it in. Get it all incorporated. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to let this set for about 10 minutes in the fridge while that breadcrumb does its work and really absorbs the liquid, brings it all together, that way we can form it into balls. Okay? And we'll be right back. All right, now we're gonna go into our tartar sauce for the crab cakes. It's a very simple, very easy recipe. You need 3 items minimum. You got 6 items here, maximum. You want it simple, you don't want it to overpower the crab cake. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with a little bit of mayo again. About half a cup will be enough. All right. We got some small chopped kosher dill pickles. Say actually only a half a spear. You don't need much again. I personally like to put a little bit of capers in mine. You might like them, you might not. I like the extra bit of little salt and pop they give to the tartar. All right, so we're gonna get some of those in there. Not too much. You see I chopped a lot here. It's actually gonna roll into the next dish we do, our bronzini. A little bit of the extra caper juice. Again, I like the flavoring. And I think it plays well with the crab cake and the lemon and all in there. All right, touch of parsley again. And a small squeeze of fresh lemon. Again, watch out for the seeds. That way they don't get in there and ruin anybody's day, all right? So you're gonna whip that around, mix it up. It's not gonna be a thick sauce, it's not gonna be super runny, just kinda in the middle. Again, you don't need anything else from this. The pickle and the caper give you all your salty, sweet, everything for it, acid. So it'll be perfect when it hits those crab cakes because they got that Old Bay and lemon in them. It'll play perfectly for it. So easy, simple, done. Just throw it together. This will cool in the fridge while we do our crab cakes, ball those up and get them in the oven. We'll be right back. Okay, so we've had our time for crab cakes to set. Now you can see they've solidified up a little bit. They're not as loose as they were. This is perfect. We'll grease our pan, that way once we get our hands all messy, we won't have to go back and forth wiping everything down. All right, so get a little nice pan spray on here, coat it well, that way they don't stick. What I do that sets mine kind of apart is, you noticed before I had some eggs on the table. I add these last. I tend to think that when you put eggs in it beforehand, you whip those whites a little too much. They'll get a little too airy. When that happens, you'll kind of fall apart. And you'll also notice that I bake my crab cakes instead of sear them. And when you sear them, you need a little bit more of the filler inside of them, causing for a little denser of a crab cake. When these are done, they're nice, airy, really light bites. So I'll show you how we do them right now. You get right on the side, get your 2 eggs, and you'll just kind of get those mixed around. And then you'll again, just fold it all in, just like you would before. It'll also help give a nice golden brown color to the crab cake as it bakes off. And you'll notice you let them set before to absorb all that excess liquid, because you're putting these eggs at the last second. They're gonna come off a little loose again, all right? So perfect consistency. They're a little loose. They will hold a form, all right? And that's all you wanna do. You're not messing with them, you're not playing with them. These are little crab cakes, so you just take them, straight on, okay? Boom, just like that. Get these all out on your crab cake pan here. Nice grease sheet pan. And that egg and mayo and panko will do all the work in the oven. You should have your oven set at 375. You're gonna bake these for around 15 to 20 minutes, okay? So like everything's perfectly done. All right. It's a little small. You can just always add right to the top if they're a little small. Not a big deal. And you wanna keep them about 1.5 inches to 1.5 inches away from each other. That way it gives it enough space for the hot air to move around it, and you're gonna cook it from all sides. The way you notice I'm not going 3 across, I'm just doing the little staggered ones here. That way it gives us enough room. All right. All right, so there we go. We'll pop these in the oven and we'll be right back. All right, so for the second course, we're gonna do my favorite fish, bronzini. All right, bronzini is nice and light, beautiful flake on it. Not a fishy flavor, as some people say with seafood and fish. It is probably one of the easiest fish you'll ever cook when you get it butterflied or pre-filleted like we have here. We're gonna do a pan-seared Bronzini going with a Greek Mediterranean relish, a feta dill couscous, which is actually my wife's recipe. I won't let anybody know that though. And that's gonna go with lemon charred asparagus that we roast in the oven. All right, so let me get a second here. I'll clean this board off and we'll be right back. All right, so we're back. We have the Bronzino fillets here. What I'm gonna do is show you how to score them so that they don't curl up in the pan, and then cut them into small little portions so they're easy to deal with. You want your saute pan on a medium-high heat. We got the induction here set at 8. Oil for sauteing, whatever you prefer. Olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, doesn't matter. Whatever you cook in, it's not gonna make any difference, all right? So what you're gonna do here is, you see the fish, this is where the head was, and it's angled down where the back of the gills were. You're gonna wanna come down on that angle all the way down the fish, making very slight, small little cuts. All right, all the way down. You'll come down, and that just scores the skin, because as you cook it, the skin will tighten up on you, and it'll cause it to curl. Some curling's fine, you know, it's natural, but you don't want it to just, it'll literally turn into a U, a backwards U on you. So you want to make sure you get down here on these the edges here. My hand's in the way, but get a shot of it in a second to where it just kind of cuts through. See, that one's not done. You want to come back through it and make sure you just get through that little bit. Otherwise you will curl, all right? And then you have a fillet here. Cooking the whole fillet, perfectly fine if you're comfortable with it. If you're not comfortable with it, I tend to like to cut it directly in half. All right. That way you have two nice even pieces, and they'll just fit in this pan a lot easier. All right. So I'm gonna do that to the second one, and we'll get cooking here. So here we are. We're about to cut the other one in half, and then we'll season it up. So this is actually the #1 selling fish in my entire club. Whenever we get it, it flies out the door. If I don't have 60 orders on hand, I'm not making it through the night. All right, so it shows how much of a loved fish this is. We're gonna lightly salt and pepper each side, okay? Because the skin is delicious, especially when we get it nice and crispy like we were going to. And now, I know I'm starting with the fish here. It's because I'm trying to show you the whole meal. But if you're comfortable with it, and you know, say you've done it a few times, you could actually cook this last, right before you put it on the plate, because it does cook relatively quick. I will pop it in the oven after my sear, but you don't need to. I'm just gonna make sure it's done while we do some other things. But normally when we do it at the restaurant, it would be in the pan, get everything set on the plate, right as I'm about to serve it, straight onto the plate and out the door, all right? So got our pans nice and hot. I can feel the heat on it. I'm gonna add our oil, just enough to coat the bottom here. Got that little smoke point, which is fine. That just shows it's really nice and hot. If it starts smoking a whole lot, you know that it's about to catch. You don't want that. But that little bit of smoke is perfect. You know, you get a nice even cook on it. And I always put fish away from you. Anytime you saute, push away. All right. And then push the centers down as you lay them in there. That way you can help counteract that curl as well, okay? And then another way, an easy way to do it is to also just push down. It's like I said, it is skin. Just because you put those cuts on it doesn't mean it'll never curl. It will do a little bit of curling, so you gotta kind of just press on it, okay? So I'm gonna turn now that we got the initial sear on it, we're gonna turn the heat down to more of a low. And I'm setting this induction cook to 4. That's like your low, medium low, all right? And you'll see it cooks quick. It's already going around the sides here and kind of cooking from the outside in, which is what you want to see. And it will naturally release itself from the pan. All fish won't stick if you just let it sit, okay? Once it starts to naturally release, you can see that skin's gonna be done. I'll show you a little side here now. It's got a nice color to it, nice golden brown, it's beautiful. I'm gonna leave it on for about 30 more seconds each. okay? That way it gives it a little bit more of a crisp on that skin for us before we put it onto our sheet pan. So what we want to do, if you are going to put it in the oven, you're going to take your sheet pan. We're going to just lay them straight on here. You've got the oil, okay? You don't need to grease it. You don't need to do anything like that. It'll bake and release itself, okay? Don't worry about that. All right? So do a quick little flip. Boom, see? Color on the skin, nice and crisp there. Get some oil on that back pot spot, and then right onto our sheet pan. Quick flip, right on. Again, that is just to help it while it's baking. You can, to help it release. That way you don't have to add more oil to what you're cooking. Keep it nice and light. There we are. So I'm going to pop these in the oven for about 3.5 minutes, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Now I'm going to show you probably the easiest part of this entire meal, the roasted asparagus, all right? Lemon, scented roasted asparagus, a little salt and pepper, oil, in the oven, easy done, all right? If you'll notice from the last dish to this dish, and you'll see it in the dessert, lemon. Lemon's kind of tying this whole entire global trot together here. All right, so I do my asparagus straight on the sheet pan. You don't need to do anything special to it. Just cut the bottoms off, and then you just half a lemon straight over everything, okay? Squeeze it on, salt and pepper. Make sure you get enough on there because it does kind of flow off onto the sheet pan. You know, there's a thing in cooking, it's 50% of your seasoning comes off while cooking. That is mostly true in like grilling, and when you're doing stuff on sheet pans like this, it'll just kind of fall off. Searing, probably about 25% comes off, so if you're seasoning something, always just do it a little bit extra and you'll end up perfect. You won't have to add any at the table, all right? So we come in with our pepper. All right, and then again, the oil, whatever you prefer, just drizzle it on. A good portion, you know, this is about a tablespoon of oil for this amount of asparagus. This is one bunch from the store, and you just toss it together, straight on the pan, all right? There's no need to go get any other cooking device or pan or bowl or anything. You're gonna cook it on here, prep it on here. It's perfectly fine. All right, so we're gonna throw this in the oven, and we'll be right back to show you the Greek relish and the dill feta couscous. That'll go quick, and then we'll do some plating. We'll be right back. All right, so I'm gonna walk you through the second easiest part of this whole meal is the Greek relish, all right? We already have our tomatoes, we have our diced red onion, some caper, parsley, lemons are already there, salt and pepper, easy. I'm gonna show you how to do the cuts on this through the tomato, all right? It's the same cut for the cucumber, okay? So you're gonna grab your Roma tomato. You can use any tomato, Roma, regular commodity tomatoes, 5x6s, vine ripened, cherries if you want to, except I wouldn't take the seeds out like we're gonna do with the cherries. It'd be a lot of effort, okay? So just gonna cut the top off here. I'm gonna cut it down the middle into quarters, all right? And you're gonna come from this back spot here where it curves, down and in, alrighty? And that's gonna take your middle part out, but it's also gonna allow you to get in there and push the seeds out with your thumb right into the trash, okay? And you're gonna do that for all of them. It's nothing against them. If you wanna keep the seeds, you can. It just creates a nice visual presentation once it's on the fish and on the dish in general. When it comes to like relishes and even pico de gallos and stuff like that, you know, people tend to cut them very rough chopped, large, and it really works best if you cut it small. Again, it gives you a great visual. It allows you to get a better distribution on each bite when you're eating. So I'll go ahead and see how you kind of just push these out like that. We'll go right into the trash. Tomatoes, they've got the skin. I've got a really sharp knife. It can go through. If you don't have a really sharp knife at home, go skin side down, and just when you go through it, make sure you go all the way through and down. All right, that makes That means you're gonna go through the skin straight to the board. No matter how your knife is, you will go straight to the board, you'll cut through that skin. Obviously, you always wanna have a sharp knife because they're safer. If you're cutting through things with a dull knife, you have a chance of putting too much pressure on it, twisting on you or something like that, cutting yourself. So always try and get your knives nice and sharp when you're doing it, okay? All right, so you saw I did a nice thin julienne on them. We're gonna take them, you're gonna line them up and take about half or a third of it at once. Get them up against your knife blade, okay? And you're gonna come really close. Get them nice, small dice. Come up, do it same with the last little batch. Nice and small. Again, when you see it plated, visually it'll look beautiful. There you go. All right, so now our tomatoes are done. I'm gonna grab our mixing bowl here and everything goes in. All right, so you got your cucumber, you got your red onion, your capers, some of the parsley, and now we will go with the tomato. So I know how earlier I said whatever oil you like, you use, but for this, we are gonna use some olive oil. Just goes with the relish, makes it a little more traditional for it. Okay, since we're not cooking with it, it's going in the dish. So you just drizzle a tablespoon of olive oil on there, all right? Salt and pepper. Small squeeze of lemon. And then red wine vinegar. Again, for this, any kind you like, whatever you like the flavor of. I'd stay away from the ones that say cooking on them. They usually have a higher salt content. All right, just gonna drizzle about 2 tablespoons in there and toss it around. And we're done with that, all right? We're gonna set that aside. I've had some oil or some water on the back stove here boiling, getting ready for our couscous. We'll bring that to the front. Couscous, extremely easy. We got a cup measured out here. Cup couscous, cup of hot boiling water. Stir it around and we're good, all right? It absorbs and cooks extremely fast. And you'll notice, you just stir it, okay? As you stir it, it'll puff up, it'll absorb, it's getting a little thicker, and you'll actually be able to hear it that it's done. It won't clink around the bowl or the pot anymore. It just kind of falls ever so lightly. Doesn't really have much of a sound. Once that clink is gone, it's absorbed all the water and you're set. Okay, so I let you guys in a little secret last time. This is my wife's recipe. She was making me dinner one night after a long day, and she had some dill and some feta in. She made some brown rice, I believe it was, and threw it all together with some shrimp and some roasted veg, kind of like we're doing here. And it was probably the tastiest rice I had had in a long time. So fresh chopped dill, some crumbled feta, however much you like. Doesn't have to be small crumble, doesn't have to be big. I like a little mix. Just get it all in there. I did about a half a cup for this. And then you just mix it around. The heat from the couscous and that hot water will help melt the feta a little bit, and it'll bring out the aromatics of the dill. Wouldn't add salt to this part of it, just because feta does have a high salt content to it, but a little ground pepper will go perfectly in there. Finish mixing this up. I'll go pull the asparagus and fish out and we'll get plating. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so crab cakes, asparagus, and bronzini are all done. Let's go ahead and plate up. Got them coming out nice and golden brown. Perfect roast on the asparagus. Beautiful golden brown on the bronzini. And the crab cakes. Beautiful color. All right. So we'll start with the bronzini. You got your mixed couscous here. You go just off the center of the plate At around, I like to look at a plate as a clock face. So your top is gonna be 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way around. So what we're gonna do for this, the couscous is gonna go right around that 11 o'clock mark. Okay, not 10, not 9, just right at 11 o'clock, just off the top center, okay? Just get that in. Go in with the asparagus, okay? Nice little bunching of it right here. Try and get them even. And this one you're gonna go from the 11 to about the 4, 5 o'clock mark, okay? Just kind of directly along, make it nice and beautiful. All right, right on top of that, we'll grab the Bronzino, all right? And you go straight over top, kind of from 9 to 3, straight along, so everybody can see how nice and beautiful that piece is. All righty, boom, beautiful, just like that, okay? After that, come in with that beautiful relish you made. Make sure you get some of that lovely vinegar right on top. All right, drizzle that around. Let it go down the fish. That'll be very nice, all right? So that's our Bronzini, okay? Remember the feta dill couscous, roasted asparagus, beautiful sear on that. Nice, beautiful dish. Then we'll plate up the crab cakes here. We got our tartar sauce that we made earlier. Just gonna set that off to the side. Our crab cakes here. All right, see how they dropped a little bit, so they set nicely. There'll be 1 or 2 bites. Beautiful little appetizer. If you wanted to turn this into a crab cake dinner, instead of using just lump, go ahead and get yourself the jumbo lump or colossal lump and mix that in really lightly at the very end, like we did with the eggs. Okay, that way those nice big huge lumps will stay in there, and when you break into it with a fork, it just kind of crumbles apart. It's beautiful. All right, so we're just gonna plate these around just like you would for a little appetizer here, so that everybody can grab. Do a little shingle on them. All right. And it'll be a perfect little start to the meal. Okay, there you go. So there's our Bronzini, there's our crab cakes, all set, ready for everybody to enjoy. We'll be right back and we'll walk you through the wild berry cobbler. All right, so now we're gonna get into the wild berry crumb cobbler in America, and in Canada they call it a grunt. So everyone's had one, everyone's seen one. Wild berries on the bottom, little crumb topping on top, nice baked dish, super easy. We're gonna get the wild berry going first, and as we're doing that, we'll make the crumb topping. You'll see how it all comes together. So you're gonna start with a nice, start with a very hot and turn it down. So I started with it on high, got the heat on there, and I've now turned it down to low. It's a 4 on this induction burner. We're gonna put a little bit of water in the pan so the berries don't stick. It's just to kind of coat the bottom. All right, get that in there. And we're doing whole fresh raspberries. Okay, whole fresh blueberries, sliced strawberries, and cut in half blackberries. All right, so that all goes in. Now that'll just sit there and get warm. You're not trying to do a full cook, you're not trying to pull it all down. Just let it sit, get warm, get the flavors kind of going together, but not really cook everything out of the berries, all right? And just let it go. For our crumb topping, we have half cup of butter, 6 tablespoons of flour, a cup of old-fashioned oats, not steel-cut oats. They'll give a different visual effect, and they actually won't absorb properly when you do the baking. So you want the old-fashioned oats. And then a cup of regular cane sugar or brown sugar. We use cane sugar here. What we're gonna do is combine all the ingredients together, all right, in our bowl. And then we'll get some gloves on and we will work the sugar in until it's all incorporated, okay? So let me get my gloves here. And you really want to do this with your hands so you can feel how it's worked in together. Doing it with a power mixer or a whisk. First, the whisk, it'll get all crusted onto the tines, and a power mixer, you'll actually end up over whipping it together. And I'll show you the consistency you want. You really just want to just go in there with your hands and crumble it all together, all right? Just working every bit of it till that butter gets around everything. There you go, as you see it's coming together. And this is just the standard crumb topping. You don't need anything else. If you want to make an apple crumb, a peach crumb, something like that, it's standard all, no matter where you're going with it, no matter what topping you're doing. All right, so we're incorporated now, done. And then we're gonna set that aside for now. Our berries, I'm gonna toss those around. See how they're just kind of coming together. The juice is kind of coming out into that little bit of water, turning the color a little bit. From there, a little bit of lemon. Again, lemon ties everything in this dish together, okay? Everything through the whole meal. A little squirt on there. And then doing a little toss. We'll put these in our dishes. As it bakes down, those berries will put out more juice, make it more moist inside of there and just coming together. Those flavors as it bakes will meld together. And then we will take a little bit of the berry water on top of each that was left. Alrighty, set that off to the side. Going with our crumbs. So crumb topping, you don't need to pack it in there. You literally just kind of take it off in little, that's why it's called crumb. You kind of crumble it around there, okay? Doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be fully on. And in fact, you don't really want it fully on because it'll spread out and set as it bakes off. That is perfect. All right, so we're gonna pop these in the oven, 375 for another 15, 20 minutes. They'll come out nice golden brown, melty on top, and ready to go. All right, we're back and the wild berry crumb is done. So let's take that out, plate it up. All right. As you can see, crumb's nice and golden brown. It's not covered like it's supposed to be. It just kind of dolloped there beautifully. So I always like to plate something like this on a larger plate than the vessel. Can look funny, I know, but when you dig in there with your spoon, it flows over the sides. You're gonna want all that stuff that comes off. Set it up with some simple vanilla ice cream right here. Right on top. Dig in and enjoy. We'll be right back to recap all the dishes we made today. All right, so to wrap it all up, we made today, hopefully you made along with me, beautiful Maryland crab cakes, Mediterranean sea bass, and UK Canadian wild berry cobbler, all right? This has been Global Kitchen with Chef Chris, down from Delray Beach, Florida. From Glen Eagles Country Club, hope to see everybody real soon.